This is my ASA vapor polishing setup. It's not much, but this setup makes me a good amount of money every month. And I've learned a few things along the way. I've also learned that a lot of the information online is not the best. There's not a lot of good detail on ASA vapor polishing. And I just want to share some tips and tricks with you guys. So if you are going to do ASA vapor polishing or you're thinking about doing it, I want you guys to have the best possible chance. So let's get into it. First thing obviously you need is an enclosure. I've got this little stainless steel enclosure box. You can get these online, get them on McMaster-Carr. They are not the cheapest, but you buy it once, it'll last you forever. I've got it set up like a clamshell setup, basically to kind of hold the liquid into the bottom here. You'll need a case fan. Where these screws, what these screws are holding, and you'll need a power supply of some sort to power the fan. I got this little 30 volt that I've been using forever for random stuff. I was using it for stuff with my motorcycle build, but it's come in super handy. If you don't have one, I recommend getting one anyways, because you'll use it a lot, especially if you're into like electronics and stuff like that, like I am. Big thing, box needs to be sealed on the bottom. The fan, you could do 12 or 24 volt. 12 would probably be better. It needs to be brushless because you don't want sparks. Sparks and acetone vapor are not good. And what they say online as far as, you need to vent the box to allow pressure out. Honestly, the hole where I drilled for the actual wiring for the fan is more than enough. You don't really need more than that. Otherwise, you're just wasting the vapor, and it takes a lot longer for it to work. So honestly, that's like an 1/8 inch hole or so. Just enough for the wiring to go through. That's more than enough ventilation for your acetone, your ASA vapor polishing. Don't drill a bunch of holes in it. It just makes it take a lot longer, and you lose a lot more acetone. You got to remember to space the fan up. Got to finish this part here. You guys came just in time. Get to pull out these parts. All right, obviously you don't want to breathe this stuff in, so you can kind of see how much acetone is on the bottom. I put it for this, it's like let's say it's a 12 by 12 by 5 container. Maybe a little bit less than that. It's probably like 11, whatever. I put maybe a cup to half a cup worth of acetone in the bottom. And on these parts here, you know, obviously you can still see some layer lines and whatnot. And we'll get into that. You don't need that much acetone. And really, the more you put in there, the more chance you have of the fan blowing and splashing the acetone onto your parts. What makes it makes them look chalky and has spots and stuff, and you don't want that. Plus, I think the less that's in there, not less, you don't want too little in there, but you just want to kind of cover the bottom of whatever you're vapor polishing with. I think the less that adds in there, the more vapor is created, if that makes sense. It's just like it vaporizes easier. But here you can see the fan. I've got it spaced. It's like maybe 3/8 of an inch, enough for the air to flow under and blow out and just circulate in the box. You can have it suck in and blow out the sides, but honestly, I think if it blows down, you don't necessarily want the parts directly under it if you can help it. Sometimes I do have it like that, and it doesn't really make that much of a difference, honestly, so I guess it doesn't matter. You want to make sure your box is sealed properly. Sometimes you'll get these enclosures or something similar and the corners might leak. This one's got these little mounts in here for mounting like panels for, like, you know, it's a control panel, so mounting electronics. It can leak out of those. If it does, find something that's acetone friendly and seal it up. So as far as like what you want to vapor polish is a big deal. If you have something that has a lot of detail, a lot of little edges that need like clip type things, you got to be mindful, one, how long you're going to put it in there, and two, do you really, it's kind of hard. If you need to maintain a certain level of detail, if you have lettering and stuff that you want to maintain, little tiny letters and little tiny details that aren't necessarily like mechanical pieces that help hold it in, but they're more of like an aesthetic thing. Small stuff like that, vapor polishing is not for you. So don't even bother with it. For example, something like this, and you can kind of work around it. This is just like a little trim clip for a Toyota 4Runner, but this is an example of something that's been over baked, right? These little, what do you want to call it, nipples or little clasps here that would latch into something, they got melted down pretty good and they wouldn't hold very well. So that's something to keep in mind. You can cover those areas with tape. I've even stuck them down inside of like sockets. This one I didn't. Stick it down inside of a socket and then put it inside of there, so the vapor that is hitting everything that you want it to hit isn't hitting those areas as hard, if that makes sense. So another thing you could do is put a little bit of like silicone grease on there, and the vapor won't hit it either. So that's something you could do. Almost burned my damn hand on the soldering iron. Okay, so these parts that I just did, I ran those at 13, I run my fan at 13 volts. So it's a 24 volt fan that I run at 13 volts. So it slows it down quite a bit. You don't want the fan running fast, again, because it'll whip acetone up and it'll splash the part and it could potentially mess it up. Now, when you pull them out, when I pull these out, they don't look nice and smooth and shiny. What you got to remember is that acetone is still working when you take it out. So where they say, oh, 20 minutes and it's done, it's not that easy. It really depends on the part and the level of detail you're trying to maintain. Something like this, I make these little trim pieces for the Kawasaki X2 jet skis. So if you bought them, hey man, I appreciate the business. These things are a bitch to make. So if you see the price, you see them for $30 a pair, there's a reason for that. It took a long time to design these to where they were basically identical to the OEM part, and also to print them, because it's such a weird, lots of radiuses and stuff like that, to print them to where they look good, doesn't require a lot of post-processing. And that's another thing. If you're trying to make parts to sell, keep in mind you could be doing a lot of post-processing after printing before you vapor polish, a lot of sanding and stuff still. So if you have little little rough edges here, and areas where support material was used and it's kind of like hanging out on there, you're gonna have to file that stuff. You're gonna have to sand that stuff down, because while yeah, you can put it in the vapor polisher and it'll eat that stuff away, it's gonna take a lot longer to eat those heavy imperfections out, and it could potentially ruin the rest of the part. Where this thing needs to be able to clip firmly into something, it'll end up turning into basically a blob, and we don't want that. So yeah, these I ran for 18 minutes, and if I had double the amount of that, I would probably run it for 20, because there's more surface area on the parts. That's something you got to keep in mind as well. If you have more parts, chances are it's going to take a little bit longer to get them to the level of polish that you are looking for. Something like this, I typically run these for like 15 minutes max. Doesn't really matter how many are in there. I don't want to lose that detail on that little clip edge. So it really does depend. Now if you're just doing like Pokemon characters or toys or whatever, that are round and smooth and got like mild detail, dude, polish the shit out of them. I wish that was the case for me, but honestly, like if you want a part that is 3D printed but doesn't look 3D printed, ASA vapor polishing is by far the way to go. You don't have to sit there sanding, priming, painting, only for that stuff to chip off and look like shit. It's looks much more professional, looks injection molded, and that's what I was going for. So if that's what you're going for and you follow these tips that I gave you, you won't lose. One more thing to keep in mind, these parts are soft and they're going to be soft for a while. If you are making parts like this and you're planning on selling them, if you're like, oh, I'm late on an order, I got to make these, and you know, it happens to everybody, it happens to me, I got to make these, I got to ship them out tonight. You might want to wait until the next morning at least. I like to give them at least 24 hours, 18 to 24 hours to fully cure, is what I call it, curing. Because what ends up happening a lot of times, you go to start trying to pack them up, they're a little soft, boom, you leave a fingerprint in your part. These are white, and most of my stuff that I sell is white, which is already super hard to print and not have discolorations or imperfections in it that are super visible. Right now, I took them out. They look nice. Oh yeah, let me pop these off and pack them up. It's almost like the consistency is like a starburst, right? You can like push your fingernail into it on the outer layer, and it's kind of gets more dense as you push harder. That's kind of how it feels, right? It's got like a plastic, like gummy skin on it for a while. So just give it time. Give it at least, and I would say at least 12 hours to cure is my recommendation. Preferably let it just hang out overnight, because you know the last thing you want to do is send a part to the customer. It gets there and it looks trashed and thrashed and mushed up and has imperfections in it because you just jumped the gun. They would much rather you just wait and just let it cure. And even if you're just doing it for yourself, let it cook. That's what I'll say. Just let it hang out for a little bit. Let that acetone evaporate out of the plastic completely and let it harden up. And it also makes it a lot stronger, because I've had some of those clips where I put them on my own jet ski here. My X2, it's a little dirty right now. But, you know, it's got screws in it. When you go to tighten them, the plastic is so soft that it just mushes it. It just mushes it down. You got to give it time to harden up, or it's just gonna mess it up. So another thing to keep in mind is ambient temperature. Is it warm where you're doing it? Is it hot? Obviously, I always recommend doing it outdoors. I have mine in my garage doors up, whatever. Don't do it in your house unless you have like some sort of professional ventilation system, because otherwise those vapors are getting into your air system. It's just not healthy and it's not safe. That being said, if you're doing it outside and it's hot or it's cold, that's going to affect how long it's going to take to polish. If it's warmer outside, that stuff is going to vaporize. Acetone's going to vaporize a lot quicker. It's going to vaporize really quick. If it's colder and your acetone is cold, like in the wintertime or the fall, it's going to take a little bit longer. Where it would normally take, say, 20 minutes to do this one part, maybe tack on another 5 minutes in the wintertime. If it's hot out, you know, stick with your 20. Maybe you have to run it for even less time, which is good. You know, you don't have to spend as much time polishing. You just let it run. Acetone's going to do its thing quicker. It's nicer to do it when it's warmer out. It works a lot quicker, in my opinion. ASA is related to ABS, so it's strong, right? Not necessarily. In my opinion, I think ASA is kind of weak. It's definitely not as strong as PETG even, especially for smaller parts like this. It's a little more flexible, I'll say. It's easy to sand. It's like kind of soft. It's almost like sanding wood in a way, or like sanding Bondo or body filler. It's hard for sure. It's like it's a hard plastic, obviously, but it's not as hard as some other materials. So that being said, if you vapor polish, in my experience with vapor polishing, it actually kind of makes it stronger because it fuses those top layers together, and it actually goes pretty deep into the part. Because I've had some stuff I've broken to see, do like a cross section to see how far it gets in there, and it'll go upwards to a millimeter deep on some parts. So in my opinion, it kind of makes it stronger in that sense. But if you're looking for a filament that is UV friendly and you're not interested really in vapor polishing, you don't really care about that kind of thing, PETG. Don't mess with ASA. PETG is UV resistant as well. Is it as UV resistant as ASA? Probably not. But for most things that you're going to be doing with those parts, it's more than enough. It prints a lot better, and you know, it's going to be stronger. And that's just my opinion. Obviously, the downsides of printing with ASA is you have to have your printer and printer area properly ventilated. Does everybody do it? Probably not. Do I do it all the time? No. Should I? Yes, every time you should. The stuff stinks. It prints at a higher temperature than something like PETG. And if you don't absolutely need to do vapor polishing, if you can get away with making your parts out of PETG or even like polycarbonate, I would recommend going that route, because it's kind of a difficult material to work with, and you're adding a whole other step to your process, right? So while the parts look sick, right? They look really good. They look injection molded, and I'm not going to stop anybody from doing vapor polishing. But if there's any way, typically if there's any way I can make a part for something for myself or for a friend, I'm going to use PETG. Typically it'll look pretty good, and it's easier to print. It's not as nasty of a plastic. Anyways, that's all I got. I know I probably rambled on a lot longer than I should have, but I wanted to put something out there about ASA and how to work with it, since I've got some real life experience, and get some more detail out there to help you guys out, because it surely would help me to know these things. If you have any questions or comments, drop it in the comment section below. Love to hear from you. But thank you so much for your support. Like, subscribe, you know what to do. Thanks for watching.